Hello YouTube friends, how are you? Carrie Knowles here, the Daydreamer. I just wanted to come on and share a fun story with you. If you're into manifesting and the law of attraction, then you will like this video because everything that I drew came true. So I am a photographer, I'm an artist, I'm an art teacher. I went back to school to get my bachelor's degree and study fine arts. But the reason I got started on this drawing journey was, actually the way I got started was like, I want to say like 15 years ago, maybe longer. I just felt this urge to start drawing, and I picked up the Finding Nemo DVD case that my kids had. This is how long ago it was. And just drew the cover. I just drew it with colored pencils and a piece of paper that my kids had laying around. And that's how I started drawing. I just felt like drawing and I just started drawing. And some crazy things happened, and I really got into art and photography, and I homeschooled my kids and taught them how to draw, and we all had sketchbooks and art supplies. And then I went back to school and took an official drawing class. And what happened was I started waking up in the middle of the night writing poetry, which was crazy because I'd never written a poem in my life. So I posted something I wrote on Facebook, and my aunt was like, well, what are you doing that's different than before? And I said, I'm taking a drawing class. So she was like, oh, so it's because you're engaging in art that you're writing these poems. And she didn't really have an explanation for it. She just kind of knew that, the more you practice creativity, the more creative you become. So I kind of looked into it and kept taking art classes. And then I also studied educational psychology. And so what's fascinating is that engaging in artistic practices, specifically with your hands, there's some kind of coordination between your hands and your brain when you're writing, drawing, or painting that takes place, and it sort of develops new neural pathways and increases the synapses connections in your brain. And you can totally Google any of these things that I say. I don't know why I know all these crazy things, but you can Google them. But yeah, it's really true. And so I kept taking art classes, and I just had such crazy experiences from it. Since then, I've written like 35 poems. I've traveled to Europe. I traveled around the country. Like somehow these artistic practices really increase your manifestation skills, and I became like a master manifester. So if you're trying to manifest and it's not successful, I strongly recommend that you engage in artistic practices. And when I say, my kids always say that when I strongly recommend something, it means just do it. So over the past year, I have been super busy, and I moved, and I stopped really engaging in these creative practices. And I realized when I was finishing my degree that this was the case, and I wasn't really, I wasn't drawing or painting or writing. Well, I was writing. No, I was writing because I was taking writing classes. And then I read this book. It's called a manga book. I think it's called a manga book. It's a Japanese graphic novel, and it's backwards. So you read it from the end backwards, and you read it from left to right instead of right to left. And anytime you engage in, this could be a whole other video, so I won't go into it, but anytime you do something different with your brain that involves your brain, and everything involves your brain, but anytime you engage in something different, like using your non-dominant hand. So if I'm right-handed, then I like wash the dishes with my left hand, or wake up an hour earlier, or put your left shoe on before your right foot, or take a shower in the middle of the day, or I'm trying to think of things. If you walk a track and you walk the same way every day, your body's going to get used to it, and you'll stop like losing weight and becoming fit. So walk the track the opposite way. Any of these kind of new something new, changing your daily routine, starting a new habit, or drawing or writing or painting. Whenever you do something new, your brain picks up on this, and it is going to cause some things to change in your life. You'll get innovative ideas, synchronistic events will take place, you'll manifest crazy things, you'll meet new people. Yeah, I've had all of these crazy things take place in the last, I like I said, I probably started drawing like 15 years ago, and then once I started drawing like all the time, probably like 6 years ago, was when things really got crazy. And when I say crazy, I mean crazy in a good way. So after reading this backwards book, this manga graphic novel, I was taking a graphic novel course to finish my degree. Do you see her? She's my cats always go crazy when I make a video. I decided I had this burst of inspiration and was able to write a paper that I did not feel like writing, like in one night. So I remembered all of these techniques, and I was like, okay, I really need to start drawing again. So this is probably like a month or so ago. And so the first thing I drew, I'm gonna show this to you. I found a picture. I was like, what can I draw? So I found a picture of a rose I had photographed years ago on my phone. And this is not in any way about drawing good, drawing well, or being good at art at any way. This is about doing it for yourself, and about your hand coordination, your manual dexterity, and connection to your brain. So the first thing I drew was a rose. Okay, I was at work on a Sunday, and I packed this sketchbook and my colored pencils and markers with me. I was an art student, so I already have all these things, but just some colored pencils and a paper is fine. And I drew this rose. I sketched this rose from the photograph. And 6 hours later, someone showed up at my job with a dozen roses for me. And the funny thing is, they were all, see how it's like multicolored? So the roses that I got were also multicolored. Maybe I'll put the picture here. That was 6 hours later. See, I wrote it on here. She's just gonna keep interrupting us. Okay, so I don't know what she's doing, but do you see her? Hi, Sparky. What are you doing? I don't know what she's doing. Well, she can join the video. So I was like, oh my gosh, if I could draw a rose and get a dozen roses, what else could I draw and then get? So a couple days later, or maybe the next day, I don't know, I drew money. See how terrible it is? It's not like it has to be accurate. So I drew 4 $50 bills. And then I wrote like $200. And then I just like sketched fun balloons and wrote love. Yeah, so it's nothing fancy, you guys. The craziest thing is, a friend of mine called and asked me if we could go out and play bingo. You guys, I've never played bingo in my life. I've never gambled at a casino. I don't play the lottery, like nothing. My biggest gamble is entering the HGTV Dream Home sweepstakes every year. And I was like, okay, this is really weird. So I better go, because obviously I'm going to win something. Because why would anyone ask me to go play bingo? So I went, and my friend was like very skeptical. She's like, see, we're not going to win. Like, it was halfway through the night. And then I won. And she was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah. And I yelled out bingo. And so I won. I don't remember what I won. I think we won $500, and I had to split it. I had to split it with another person who won at the same time. This lighting is really bad, you guys. I'm sorry. But then they call us up front, me and the other girl that won. And one of us, we had to roll a dice, and the person who got the high die got to go in a money machine and collect as much money as possible to increase the prize, which was $500, split between the two of us was $250. And so I won the high dice and went inside, and I had to, this money's like blowing at me like you see in a game show, and I had to catch all this money. And whatever I caught, I don't know how much I caught. So I must have caught like $233 or something. But the total that I went home with after splitting this with her was $433, the total I won. Now my friend and I split the cover charge, and so I turned and handed her $200, and she's like, "You're sharing this with me?" And I'm like, that would be so wrong. Like, of course, we split the cover charge. We just both handed the guy money to get in. And there was all kinds of bonuses and add-ons because, they're trying to get your money. I think it was $15 for the entry fee, and then we got some of the bonuses and add-ons. And if we didn't, I wouldn't have won. And so I think my total that I won was $433. I gave her $200, and I walked out with $233. And I think my part of the cover charge was $33. So I walked home with $200, which is exactly what I drew. Isn't that crazy? All right, so then I was like, all right, I got to keep doing this. I'm going to try this with food. So this was a period of time like that, the weeks before, I was kind of really obsessed with this Thai food place near my house, near my apartment. And so I was like, all right, I'm spending a lot of money on Thai food. So why don't I draw Thai food and maybe I can manifest Thai food. So look, I just drew like the fried rice with the broccoli, the carrots, the pepper, and then the dumplings and the spring rolls. And then I wrote Thai foods. I wrote, like, you can write too. Like I wrote dumplings, spring rolls, Thai food, soy sauce, broccoli. So this was December. So I wrote the date, December 3rd, because I hadn't been writing the date. So December 3rd was the date. Well, a week or so later, I was invited to a holiday party at a local Thai place, like one of our favorite places that a lot of my friends and I go to. And everything was covered by the managers of who had invited us, even the appetizers. So I think that was the week before Christmas. It was like Christmas was on a Monday. This is just this past holiday, so 2 weeks ago. And this was the Tuesday before Christmas 2023. This is all happening in the last month, you guys. So I drew the Thai food on December 3rd, and then 2.5 weeks later, on December, what's 6 days before the 25th? I don't know. The 19th, I manifested Thai food, a whole dinner and all the appetizers. So that is crazy. And then, what the funny thing is, I was texted the day before that they weren't sure if I was going to be able to go because I was someone's guest. And they were like, oh, they don't think there's enough room for guests because the restaurant's really crowded. And then I was like, oh, in my mind, I was like, I already drew that I was going. So I already drew that I was manifesting Thai food. So I'm not worried about it. Obviously, I'm going. And then like an hour later, they texted me back and they were like, oh, whatever circumstances happened, they made room and I was able to go. So I literally did go and someone paid for me to have Thai food. So the next food one was a donut. So I was like, all right, I really am I used to love these chocolate sprinkled donuts from a place that closed down. And like a month ago, someone brought us a really good chocolate sprinkled donut. It was like the most comparable that I've ever had. So I was like, all right, I'm kind of in a mood. Now it's like 3 weeks later, and I'm like, I'm kind of in the mood for a chocolate sprinkled donut. So let me draw a chocolate sprinkled donut. I don't know if that doesn't really look that like a chocolate sprinkled donut, but like I said, it does not have to be good. So on December 13th, so I drew this on December 6th, the donut. On December 13th, we got donuts at work. A customer brought us donuts at this part-time job that I have in the mornings. A customer brought us donuts from a place called Dixie Donuts, and I did not get a chocolate sprinkled donut. And I was like, okay, that's really weird. But there was this coconut donut that I grabbed and actually looked more like my donut than this doesn't really look like a chocolate sprinkle. Look, the coconut donut looked more like this. And do you know what it tasted like? It tasted like a Girl Scout Samoa cookie, like those coconut chocolate cookies, which is my favorite. So I'm still gonna consider that as a manifestation coming true. Okay, so my fifth and last drawing manifesting story from the last 30 days was there was this one day I wanted to go shopping, and I woke up with such a headache. You guys, my hair is crazy. I just cut it the other night. It's like crazy. I woke up with a headache and I wanted to go shopping. And so I was like, oh, well, let me try drawing myself healthy. And this, you guys, like I said, this does not have to be good and it does not have to be crazy. So I drew a happy face and like this, like, because my head hurt. So I drew all these like happy lines out of my head and hearts and flowers. And I don't know if you know about this circle, but this, I'll do another video on that another time. But if you are into like art, therapeutic art practices, if you start with a little dot in the middle and then draw without picking up the pen and without touching the lines touching, like it really helps your brain focus, and has like healing properties because you kind of get into this like alpha brain state. So then I wrote like, I feel great, happy, healthy, head, heart, homeostasis. So I just quickly drew things. And all of these drawings, you guys, took like 5 minutes. So I just drew some things, you know, pretty flowers that made me feel happy. I did it in pink. And in an hour, I went shopping and it was like I never had a headache. So those are my crazy, wild stories. And if you have any success stories where you manifest something that you drew, feel free to share them in the comments. And like I said, this isn't about drawing good or like good enough to sell your art or something. It's just draw yourself as a stick figure if you need to. You know, just sketching, doodling, coloring with pencils or pens. Nothing crazy, but that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So I hope you enjoyed this manifesting through drawing video, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.